We don't know what country we're moving to if he loses the election. I don't want to live here anymore.
Really? You'd move out of the United States?
Move out of the United States, whether it's Italy, Switzerland. I'm Italian American. I'm also have Irish in me. I don't think I want to stay here if he loses.
Really? You'd leave the country?
I would leave the country. I mean that. Let me ask you a question. Where else in the world could 20 million illegal immigrants enter a nation and be allowed to do it? Me, a law-abiding citizen, but I'm 63 years old. I couldn't go to any country in the whole world where they would allow me to go there. Me, John, myself, let alone 20 million people. How have we become this country?
But you want to leave the country and move someplace else and do the same thing?
What do you mean by do the same thing?
You said you want to leave the country if Trump becomes president. That's doing the same thing, searching for a better life. If Trump loses, you said you would leave the country and try and find a better life.
You know what I want to do? I want to have a little farm in like Tuscany, grow some veggies, take it easy, wake up.
But isn't that the same thing? Isn't that the same thing? These people are coming here for a better life. You want to go someplace else for a better life because you don't want to live here if Trump's not president?
No, it's not the same thing.
It's not?
Explain your gun control policy to the parents of the victims of school shootings?
I could. We have a Second Amendment and right to bear arms, essentially. And I'm very strongly an advocate of that. I think you need that. I think that if you ever tried to get rid of it, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to take away the guns because people need that for security. They need it for entertainment and for sport and other things.
Could you explain your...
First and foremost, I'm with RNG on this one. Tell Billy Bob to get the packing. I mean, it's just absurd. Leave. Just leave. And then, did you catch the fact that the guy asked us real plainly, what's your gun policy? His gun policy is, I guess, more guns. More guns. Welcome to Let It Be Known. It's Friday. It's just the ignorance. I love when Greer does that because it reminds me so much of All in the Family, Archie Bunker. Because what that show did, and we talked about this before in this program, it just allowed you to see just how insane racist people are. Just that they have no concept. They're the most ignorant. But he can't. I gotta go to Tuscany and sit back on the farm. I think it sounds so great. Go do it now. And the question, great question. Like, okay, so you're doing the same thing. Folks are coming here for a better life. And you saying you're gonna go somewhere else for a better life. Just insane. Yeah, the guy asked him, what would you say to parents of victims? And his response, people need them for entertainment. People need guns for entertainment. This is Donald Trump. So goodness grief. And that's why the whole political system, this idea of this guy being even able to run, and let alone the idiots and the racist people who are supporting him. What world should he be able to run? We was, like I said before on this program, we were in Europe at the beginning of this year, and we had a couple of folks, an Uber driver being one of them, was like, how does he run? He's a French guy, I can't speak French, but how does he run? How did you let him run? He's a convicted felon. He's a madman. This is what the guy said. He's a madman. He's a convicted felon. He's a madman. He says, you guys are messed up in America. And Billy Bob saying he wants to go to Tuscany. He has no clue as if Tuscany wants him. Got several things going on today. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Sergeant Kevin Menon was indicted by a Clark County grand jury this week on charges of oppression, subordination of perjury, and battery on a protected person. So we're going to talk about this in a minute. Why we're bringing that up, because he is accused of orchestrating a bunch of false arrests on the Las Vegas Strip, and of course his target, black men. Detroit Judge Kathleen Ryan was removed from her docket after secret recordings of her wildly racist phone conversations. They were recorded and made public, and it gets worse. This U.S. injustice system this is another one of those reasons why it is and remains the U.S. injustice system. And we see again, now let's look at the theme. Those first two stories, and we're going to get into both of them. The sergeant in Las Vegas targeting black men. And this is what Trump promotes. And then this judge and the racist stuff. Also, this morning, we're going to really, don't want to say it is kind of sad, but it's not apparently not hopeless yet. But y'all remember Ananda Lewis, former MTV V.J. She talks about her breast cancer and the things that she says. I mean, she's reached stage 4, and why her cancer metastasized. It's an eye opener. And she's taking full responsibility for it, and she's trying to do something about it. Hopefully for Ananda, it's not too late, but we're going to talk about that this morning. In the greatest block party on the West Coast, probably in the world, will kick off tomorrow. The 19th annual Taste of Soul Family Festival kicks off from Crenshaw Boulevard, Crenshaw Boulevard, I should say, from Obama Blvd to Stocker Avenue. Have a little bit more details on that. And this week, it's a major milestone for the Washington Informer. Washington Informer is almost eligible for Social Security. They turn 60. We have a little bit of details on that as well this morning. Great milestone. We'll talk about that. But first, a Clark County grand jury voted to indict a now suspended Las Vegas police sergeant who is accused of orchestrating false arrests against mostly African-American men. The sergeant, Kevin Menon, who's 42 years old, was taken into handcuffs himself after the grand jury indicted him on several charges, including 9 counts of oppression under color of law. He was out of custody in a Las Vegas Justice Criminal Court, which he pleaded not guilty. But he orchestrated these fake arrests by instigating situations with the public. I think we got some video of some of that. That's good. As one of my old favorite sports guys used to say, let's go to the videotape. Do we have audio?
Menon are black men, stopped and searched in public, according to prosecutors, after Menon manufactured a reason like this. Officers later testified they saw this man with a knife larger than what's allowed on the strip. As they walk toward him, Menon, dressed in plain clothes, bumps into him and stares him down.
Seems like you want to fight someone with.
He remains calm, cooperative, and confused.
He bumped into me, and then you guys were right behind me, literally. I didn't see like it was a setup.
At the Cosmopolitan, 4 men appear to be randomly detained.
It's a crime to loiter by a restroom and say, hold on, and insinuate sexual acts. Right?
I just got here.
I don't think so. I think you were standing by a restroom and you said, suck my.
Officers later testified they never heard the men make those comments. They were just following Menon's orders.
Don't worry, you'll be out in like 6 hours.
Here, uniformed officers pretend to arrest Menon. The undercover sergeant then pretends to know this man who was simply sitting at the Cromwell Sportsbook.
What I do, man?
Also at the Cromwell, prosecutors say Menon tries to hand these 2 men fraudulent bills. They never accept anything from him, but officers stop and search them. One of the men demands to speak with a supervisor. They're released. Menon later returns dressed in a Metro jacket. A few months later, he's put in handcuffs, facing felony charges for abusing his power and trying to cover it up. Menon remains out.
And again, his target, black men, and you just see how that officer, it was a female officer, she was just okay with, and all of those officers, not just, I mean, he gave directions, he gave orders, but they were all comfortable with it. She made up this lie. You're standing outside of a bathroom. He could be waiting for his wife. He could be waiting for his wife or his daughter or sister or somebody, and then make up a claim that he uttered some words that he never said. And then trying to pass fake money to people and then claiming that to be probable cause to search them. These are the shenanigans. These are the tricks and shenanigans that go on. And as RNG says, my question is, how many more Kevins are on that police force? Trust me, he did not act alone. Mike V says, I would want to investigate social media and text messages that would tell me the intentionality. And right, RNG says, remember, Trump wants to give cops like Kevin qualified immunity, blanket immunity. Dr. Nicole says, yes, they all should be prosecuted, not just him. Exactly. Exactly. Now, and looking into that a little further, some of the officers involved, not all of them, he's the only one charged so far, but some of the officers involved have been given immunity themselves to testify against him. And one officer testified to the grand jury that this Kevin Menon really he would hold meetings and talk about how many to take off the streets. The department itself is saying that they believe that he was doing this to try and pad crime stats, arrest stats. But come on, it was a lot more than just padding stats here. And to you got to understand too, to put someone through that, it's not just that moment that you're putting them through. You're not just inconveniencing them for that moment. Now first of all, the humiliation at a place like the Las Vegas Strip to be arrested falsely, the humiliation, and then having to hire lawyers, having to go home, eventually play post bail, go home and tell your family you was arrested, missing time from work probably because of court dates that never should have been on your docket, if you will. David Youngblood says he learned that from someone on the force. But this is the atmosphere that the twice impeached and 34 times felony convicted former president wants to foster. Yeah, and Greer says, folks getting fired for even though the arrest was false, people lose their jobs. But this is what the whole Project 2025. Now, it doesn't explicitly say go pick up black men off the Las Vegas Strip. But when you read it, you understand that this is the goal. This is the goal. You heard the video at the beginning of the show, Billy Bob saying he wants to go to Tuscany. They rather create their own what they view as Tuscany right here. Yeah, it's definitely bigger than one man. Yep. All of those RNG says all of those criminal charges will be dropped by the DA, but all of those black men will have an arrest record. They should file a federal lawsuit against the police department in the city. And that's the other thing. So I'm glad you said that. They should file a federal lawsuit. There's no question that they're going to file a lawsuit. But federal lawsuit, the DOJ should also be involved in a federal criminal and civil. But here's the thing. We talk about Donald Trump and Project 2025. And here's the thing with that. Here is the thing with that. If Donald Trump and Project 2025, if they win the election, they've already told you, and it's in Project 2020, it's boldly in Project 2025, no more Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice who handles stuff like this. No more of suing police officers or arresting police officers. That goes away. That is in bold print and it clear as day in Project 2025. Clear as day in Trump's own what does he call it? Agenda 47. He says it out loud. It's no secret. And so when I see folks going hard, black folks in particular, the few black folks, the Byron Donalds, I don't mean to say Byron Allen. Byron Allen is a real man, a real person, the Griot's owner, among other things. He has nothing to do with this. Byron Donalds and Tim Scott and those guys. You know, when they have absolutely no no concern about that. At least they believe they have no concern about that. They've been uh, I don't even want to say again brainwashed. These folks are going. The grift is so bad that they have forgotten any boundaries, and they see no repercussions coming toward them. But this is what you will get en masse, or however you want to say it. David Youngblood's right. Trump says he'll use the DOJ to explore discrimination against white men, and that is also in Project 2025. Bobby Henry says, "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas." They hoped, and you know it's still going on, because one thing we have learned is that nothing stops these folks. We thought, oh, everything's being captured on video. It's gonna curtail it at least. Wrong. Oh, they gotta wear a body cam. It's gonna curtail it at least. Wrong. And here's something more to be again with the with minorities, black and brown folks in this country. Last month, the Root reported first about the suburban Detroit judge, Kathleen Ryan, being removed from her docket after secret recordings of her wildly racist phone conversations were made public. Now, new recordings have surfaced. The local ABC 7 in Detroit has uncovered more recordings, and which she makes even more racist comments. Here it is.
Ryan is the Oakland County Chief Probate Pro Tem Judge.
The Honorable Kathleen A. Ryan presiding. Good morning. You may be seated.
And she's been on.
She has lashed out continually at black folks, referring to them, you know, with slurs. Gay folks, referring to them constantly with slurs. She told one gay man, put that in your behind and stuff it. But she said it in a different way with using different language. And She says, if you are an American Black person, this is on tape. This is on recordings. If you're an
Says
American
during
Black
those
person,
hours and hours of calls, Judge Ryan said highly inappropriate and racist things.
But this whole Black Lives Matter stuff, they're like, everyone's all entitled. Let's assume that they did get screwed just because of the nature of their color and the way America is, systemic racism, all that. Fine. But don't they have an obligation to step up to the plate too? I mean, think about it. All they have to do is look at their history, like the whole baby mamas and the dads taking off, and it's like you guys have an obligation too. You want us to treat you equally. You got to step up and do the same job. You don't get to be a lazy.
Why did you start recording the calls?
I just felt like it wasn't going to change. Nothing's manipulated in it. It's conversations that I was a part of, and I'm absolutely willing to testify to the authenticity of every single one of them.
Hutton says he sent Chief Probate Judge Linda Hallmark a formal complaint about Judge Ryan in May. He says very little happened until 3 months later when he sent the recordings of Ryan to the Michigan Supreme Court and to the Oakland County Executive. Judge Hallmark then issued a statement saying she notified the Judicial Tenure Commission, or JTC, which decides whether judges should face discipline. Sources tell the 7 investigators the highly secretive JTC investigative process is underway. But Hutton says he's always been concerned Judge Ryan's powerful friends in Oakland County might protect her.
I hate to say it, knock on wood, I really kind of am untouchable. They can't touch me. They can't touch my salary. They can't touch my job. All they can do is have somebody run against me. Good luck.
Hutton says Ryan has bragged in the past about knowing people on the Judicial Tenure Commission, although there's no indication she's contacted them about this.
My buddy Monty Burmeister, he's on the JTC.
Hutton says in the past, Judge Ryan also talked about how the rest of the Oakland County judges would support her.
I'm pretty untouchable. So you guys really want to be. So you got 22 judges who are. Guess what? They're still going to back me.
This isn't the first time that Judge Ryan has allegedly made statements about her status as a judge. In November of 2021, Wixom police arrested Ryan for domestic assault. That charge was later dropped.
I do believe that Power 96 is 100% right. Orangey, he says that Trump will make her the next U.S. Supreme Court justice. And this is 100%. 100%. Dr. Nicole says she is a personification of the systemic racism that some people try to deny exists. Yeah, and Austin says Trump's kind of nominee for the Supreme Court, and Senator Tim Scott would support her nomination. Exactly, 100%. But this again, going back to Dr. Nicole with the systemic racism, exactly. You hear the words, "Oh, the baby mamas," folks. Every time that they have done any type of study, it's time to put the rest. Black folks in general, and Latino men too, men and women should also put this to rest. Every time that they've done any type of study, it's always white males who are the deadbeat dads more so than anybody else. See, they tell you stuff. It's like Donald Trump. You tell a lie long enough, they believe that folks will start to believe it. It's like the welfare system. Heck, Brett Favre, allegedly, we got to say allegedly, but y'all know, wink, wink. And his cronies down there, I mean, altogether, that whole ring that he was involved in, almost $100 million. These are all wealthy white males for the most part. $100 million welfare scam in Mississippi. $100 million. But they talk about the welfare system, and historically, it has been, and finally going to use this word and not put it to Black folks, disproportionately used by white folks. Disproportionately. Go check the stats on that. And she goes, they got to work hard. Working hard Black folks working hard in the eyes of racists like that is what we already know. And we say it in our homes, we say it in our amongst each other and wherever other platform we get. But we have to work 10 plus times harder than them for them to even recognize that we are even working. Working harder for her is being out in the field, picking cotton all day and all night. That's what this Oakland County judge, she's untouchable. And then she calls the other judges, 22 judges, what y'all saw that, right? The P word, describing a woman's body part. That's what she feels about these other judges. But this is Project 2025 personified. This is a second Trump administration personified. So y'all go ahead and debate all y'all want. Mike V says, let me guess, she is also against DE&I too, while benefited from it at the same time, right? Exactly. The former MTV VJ Ananda Lewis took part in a roundtable discussion with two other women, including the CNN anchor, and it was about breast cancer.
For me, the shutdown happens because I need all the energy other people require from me. So if you're going through something like this and you don't cocoon, I've seen that happen, and too much energy is slipping out through these either random unnecessary conversations, like no disrespect, right? But many of the conversations are not necessary to what you're going through. Nobody's coming with you to an appointment. If they are, then they're catch-up conversations, or like, tell me how you are. But do you have time to talk about it? I don't have time to talk about things I'm going through. I need the energy to get through it. And so that's why I shut down. And then I'll come back around when I'm able and be like, oh, here's what was going on. Like, unfortunately, I hit a stage 4. It took me a very long time to talk about that.
Stop.
Yeah.
You can't just say that like that.
I was using it as like an example, but you're right. But listen, it's not, see, I don't even look at it as that deep. But when that happened, it was October of last year. I was doing so good. And then I got really lazy. And the way that I've chosen to handle it, you really can't get very lazy. You cannot take your foot off the brake, because that sucker will gas on you. And it gassed on me. And I just didn't talk about it. I think for me, the shutdown happens because I need all the energy other people require.
So stage 4 breast cancer means that the cancer cells have spread beyond the breast, often traveling to the bones, the lungs, and the liver. It can be treated with tools like chemotherapy and hormone therapy, but it is considered incurable. Of course, breast cancer is the second most common cancer among women in the United States, and a leading cause of death from cancer among women around the world. And that discussion with Stephanie Elam, who in fact has been Ananda's best friend since they met at Howard University in the 90s. And of course, CNN anchor Sarah Sidner, who had herself a double mastectomy earlier this year after learning she had stage 3 breast cancer. Lewis said she decided, Ananda Lewis said that she had decided not to get a double mastectomy despite her doctor's recommendation in early 2019 when she first discovered the lump and learned she had stage 3 breast cancer. She sought conventional care after receiving her initial diagnosis. She spoke to what she said, quote, the right and best oncologists, the breast surgeons. She says, I decided to keep my tumor. I decided to keep my tumor and try to work it out of my body a different way. So instead of getting a double mastectomy, she said she opted for more conservative treatment that included chemotherapy as well as other forms of care, including changes to her diet, sleep, and exercise habits. But after 16 weeks, her cancer was down to a stage 2, she said. But then it has come roaring back to stage 4. She said that the amount of radiation she had been exposed to since discovering the tumor and seeking treatment was vastly more than what she would have experienced with regular mammograms. She says, I wish I could go back Um, and she started crying a bit when she said that. She says, it's important for me to admit where I went wrong with this. And then she stressed the significance of early detection. She says, my plan at first was to get out excessive toxins in my body. I felt like my body is intelligent. I know that to be true. Our bodies are brilliantly made. Looking back on that, she says, I go, you know what? Maybe I should have had the mastectomy. She says, but I didn't have good options. They wanted to take both. They wanted to do all these big things that I was not ready for. And so when the cancer worsened last year, she says it was the first time I had ever had a conversation with death because I felt like this is how it is. I don't get afraid of things, she said. She says, I was just like, wow, I really thought I had this. She says, I was frustrated. I was a little angry at myself. And so she's now talking more about it. And she even says, sadly, we don't always win. And, our certainly thoughts go out to Ananda, hoping that, she can beat this somehow. They said it's incurable, but she says that right now she's doing all the things she needs to do. As she is taking some medication. She's getting guidance from an oncologist. And she says those medications right now, she says they are working beautifully for me in combination with the other things I'm doing that help support my body. She says, I'm really thriving right now. I remember a cousin of mine had taken a state paid vacation, if you will, for a long time. And he had when his vacation was over, I treated him to a Knicks game at Madison Square Garden, and we sat on the floor. And this was way back early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. And who sat next to us? Ananda Lewis. And my cousin was losing his mind, and Ananda engaged us, and he was just so smitten with Ananda. I was like, Ananda, don't mess with him. He just came off vacation. You're over your head, Ananda. As gorgeous as you are. But my cousin was really thrilled that we was in the presence of greatness, Ananda Lewis. But we certainly wish Ananda nothing but the best of everything, and hopefully she will still be with us for a long, long time to come, and her family. The greatest Black bloc party on the West Coast. Some will argue, many will argue, I think the greatest Black bloc party in the world is the 19th annual Taste of Soul Family Festival is kicking off tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Crenshaw Boulevard. If you've never been, it is truly amazing to see. 500,000 people attended last year, and it's likely to be more. You see Danny Bakewell, the owner of the Los Angeles Sentinel, a member of NNPA, and Bakewell Media, does this every year, and they have some of the most brightest stars that come out, and you see a sea of people there, and you've got all these vendors and food, the best foods that folks in Southern California never get that. They get that food once a year at Taste of Soul, that type of good food once a year. You could do shopping, uh, food, there's music. One of the co-chairs, of course, has been for the past few years, Tiffany Haddish. But you get A-list superstars coming through there at Taste of Soul all the time. Of course, Danny Bakewell is one of the more powerful publishers, not just in the Black press, but in media, period. And they talk about Rolodexes. Danny's Rolodex, whew, it's worth some serious money. If you can get a hold of his contacts and his phone, whoo, you, you've done something there, buddy. But they have health screenings. They have financial literacy information. It's a really great thing that he's put together. Great amount of sponsors. The sponsorship there is really off the chain because folks and even in corporate America recognize just how huge this is. And he says for 19 years, Taste of Soul has served as the biggest and baddest celebration of Black enterprise. No event captures the collective spirit, strength, and unity of the Black community quite like this one. He says, on this day, we come to celebrate ourselves, our families, our businesses, our people, and our shared journey. Danny Bakewell goes on to say, I want to thank the community for their love and support of Taste of Soul year after year. This celebration of culture, unity, and joy would not be possible without each and every one of you. Look, the Taste of Soul experience features a wide variety of cuisines, including soul food, of course, Caribbean meals, fried and grilled dishes, vegetarian options, tantalizing desserts. There are 3 stages where recording artists perform. And then there's the Bakewell Media Music for the Soul stage, which is presented by Chevrolet, Mothers in Action, Brenda Marsh Mitchell Gospel stage, and then the Radio Free 102.3 KJLH Music stage, which Amazon Access presents. Now, what if you're not from Los Angeles, you might not know that 102.3 KJLH, of course, not only is it a Black owned radio station, but you know who the owner of that station is and has been forever? The one and only Stephen Morris, Stevie Wonder. That's his radio station. And so you probably it's a good chance, I should say. I know he's on tour, but it's a good chance that you will see even Stevie Wonder walk through the Taste of Soul. They even the airport, LAX, it's part of the experience. They have a LAX lounge, which is produced by Los Angeles World Airports, where a panel discussion and job opportunities will be outlined. Job fair. This thing, and Eric Benet, as you see, headlines the KJLH stage. But it's so huge. Every year I marvel at how this Black owned publisher. I mean, he has Bakewell Media, etc. But again, it's something that all of the publishers in the Black press celebrate and should celebrate a Taste of Soul. But it's also, I believe, and Bobby Henry's watching this morning, the chair of the NNPA, the publisher of the West Side Gazette, that I believe it's something that in every city, in every town that we have a Black-owned newspaper, you are able to do something, maybe not on the scale yet, because I'm sure it took a minute for Danny Bakewell to grow this, but you can do something like this that will be successful. I mean, there are different ways to measure success, but it also shows you again the vital importance of Black-owned newspapers and media companies. They when they put their, as you know, remember your parents would say, you put your mind to it, you can do anything. When Black publishers put their minds to it, they can accomplish anything. I mean, it's so amazing what happens at a Taste of Soul. I always have to really take a minute to show appreciation to the Bakewell family for doing this every year and for being able to really pull off what is really the event of the year every year. and the mayor, Karen Bass, is also a co-chair this year as well. So if you're out and about in the Southern California area, make your way down to Crenshaw. It's a I know there's a lot of people, but it's a festive, never any incidents. Has never been a report of an incident at a Taste of Soul. Anything negative. There's no cry, no fights, anything like that. Bakewell does it right. And speaking of doing it right, the Washington Informer is celebrating a major milestone this week and all this year, all next year, really, because I think the plans for celebrating will begin next year. Denise has not been cluing me in on a lot of stuff when it comes to the plans. She knows I got to make advanced plans. She knows that, and yet she has not uttered one word to me about plans. I got to move things around, Denise, in my calendar. Come on now. Dr. Roloff would not be happy about this. It was founded in 1964, actually to be exact, October 16th, 1964, by Dr. Calvin Roloff. 60 years. And the Informer, the thing with the Informer, again, Black-owned newspaper, of course, we're talking about, well-known throughout the district, well-respected, let me put it that way, throughout the district. Mayor for Life, Marion Barry, certainly was his favorite newspaper. Muriel Bowser, all the mayors, Vincent Gray. They understand the value of the Informer, and not just in Washington, folks. Ever since digital came into play, Denise was not going to just sit back and allow the time to pass her. And so the paper is it's a daily news outlet. And while the focus has been providing positive news to the Black community and remains a focus, you get a lot of serious stuff, from politics to, you know, what's going on locally there in Ward 8 and throughout the district. Orange G says he reads the Informer and he lives in the Deep South. He lives in Louisiana and he's reading the Informer. One of the Informer's earliest columnists, and this is the reach. And one thing about Dr. Calvin Roloff that I learned and hear about a lot is the connections he had. We talked about Danny Bakewell's connections. Well, Dr. Roloff was the same way. And and the thing with him, what I understand about him too, is even if folks didn't see eye to eye with him, they respected him. And they respected what he was doing with the Washington Informer. And of course, Denise had to step in after the untimely passing of Dr. Roloff. And I was going to mention that the earliest columnist was a congressman from Texas, Representative Wright Patman. He wrote a weekly column. And in fact, that he's from Texas makes there's a connection there because Dr. Roloff was a native of Texarkana, Texas. You know who else is from Texarkana, Texas? The founder and leader of the Temptations. So the Informer, also, they have the spelling bee. that has become such a huge thing each year in the district. Parades, and they do the peace walks that keeps in mind the legacy of Dr. King. It's the script spelling bee that the Informer does. And of course, now Denise does Let's Talk on WIN TV, Washington Informer News TV, every Friday at noon. So you can catch her today at noon on all of the social media channels of the Washington Informer. So one of the things that Dr. Roloff is remembered for is his motto that Denise repeats a lot. And not that it's a bad thing, but his motto, and this is really something for Black folks. And that's who I believe, and of course she will correct me if I'm wrong. That's who he was really talking about. And the motto is, if it's to be, it is up to me. And Denise says that is still her what she lives by. So the Washington Informer, it is to be, because it was up to Denise. And she's done it. She's carried that torch, and she's carried it well, 60 years. And it's such a milestone, 60 years being any Black-owned business, right? Black woman-owned now, of course. But to be a newspaper publisher, you have to really think about that, as how impressive that is, because of you all seen for the last 20 years or so, newspapers are dying and journalism is dead, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, everyone tried to bury Black-owned newspapers, but the Washington Informer continues to thrive. And again, it has become a weekly newspaper, has become a daily 24-hour news machine. Our girl, Misha Green, is the editor there, and of course, she is like the old Jackson 5 song, working day and night, like Denise, who never quits, who never stops. I mentioned Let's Talk. You got Chevry over there running, producing and running that, and also she is the editor for the photographers. And then you got some great reporters have come through there, and presently, of course, Sam P.K. Collins, who is absolutely blazing a trail and then some in DC for the Informer. You pick up the Informer, and generally on the front page, you run 3 or 4 stories. They run 3 or 4 stories, and sometimes every single story is by Sam P.K. Collins. And they're just not, a cursory of something. It's Sam digs in. And the type of journalism that Sam is doing over there at the Informer, and proudly doing for the Informer, the type of journal needs to be recognized. I know he's won some local awards, but it just needs to be recognized. The Informer is an SPJ winner and an MDCC winner. But the Sam Collins is amazing over there. And to me, he is the top guy at the Informer, no question. No question. But congratulations to Denise and the entire Washington Informer team. Oren G says, yes, I am biased, but Black journalism is better. Not the Black journalists who work for the mainstream media. He says, I depend on the Black press to tell me the truth. The unfiltered truth. Not watering anything down, but So we got a couple of great stories, mentions today for on Let It Be Known about Black-owned newspapers, the Los Angeles Sentinel, and what they're doing out there, Bakewell Media with Taste of Soul, and of course, in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, Denise Brolock Barnes and the Washington Informer. 60 years. Congratulations, Denise. Congratulations to you all at the Informer. And folks, have a great weekend. And one day, 60 years from now, no, it won't be 60, like 50 something years from now, because we've been doing this for a minute. Greer and I will be in our rocking chairs saying, "Let it be known." Greer is going to be somewhere on the island somewhere, probably. I don't know. But she'll still produce the show, though, right? From some island somewhere. But we will see you guys on Monday. Thanks for watching. She's writing me a note.